If you run a business and everything still seems to come back to you, then there's probably one job you need to stop doing first. So I asked Claude what that job was because I expected a clean answer. Maybe it would tell me to get out of admin or content or sales follow-up, something easy to name and easy to turn into an AI workflow, which is my bread and butter. But the answer it gave me was more annoying because it was more useful. Stop being the person who moves everything forward. Now that probably sounds vague at first, but if you're the founder, you know the feeling. Work comes in half-formed and somehow you're the person who knows what it means, what happened last time, what is about to get stuck, and what the next move should be. And you don't count that as a job because each moment feels small. You answer the message or you give the direction and you make a decision about something, or you remind someone of something and you clean up the loose end and then you move on. But the problem is that by the end of the week, half of your attention has gone into turning unclear things into clear next steps. And the problem is that is a job, but it's just a job that most founders never write down. And you may well have a team, tools, processes, and a calendar full of meetings, but the business can still be built around your attention. And if the work still has to pass through you before it becomes clear, the business isn't really moving without you. It's just waiting for you to translate it. And the other issue is that hiring doesn't automatically fix this, because you might bring someone in to take the work off your plate, and for a while it might help, but the same pattern shows up in a new form. The team can do the work, but they still need your read on what happens next. So the team can do the work, but they still need your understanding on, say, the lead or the client or the next priority or what the next step will be. And those are normal business questions. The issue isn't that your team is doing something wrong here. The issue is that the answer is still buried in your head, so every extra person can actually create more work for that part of the business that doesn't scale with either your memory or your judgment. And this is where AI starts to make more sense if you stop thinking about it as a magic employee. The first job isn't to let AI make every important decision. The first job is to remove the drag around the decision. So what that might look like is the reading, the sorting, the context gathering, the draft of the next action, the reminder that something has not moved yet, or the short summary that lets a person make a call faster or a decision faster. And naturally, this sounds more boring compared to a gigantic agentic workflow, but this is where a lot of founder time actually disappears. And that's the part that I really care about automating, because that's the part that actually helps you scale if you can get it off your plate. So let's use a client request that comes in as an example after a call. In most businesses, the request isn't hard because nobody knows how to reply. It's hard because the reply depends on the context from the call, or a promise that someone might have made last week, or say the current state of a job that requires a little bit of judgment to establish what's going to happen next. And if you're the only person who can connect those dots, then the work will still be dependent on you. So a useful AI workflow doesn't need to run the entire client relationship. It can pull the relevant context together, show what's missing, and then say suggest next steps or a task, and then put that decision in front of the right person. So the key thing is the human still approves the important part, but they're not starting from a blank page every time. And that's the shift I think most founders miss. The useful question isn't always, what can I automate? But a better question is, where does work keep waiting on me? So if work waits for you to remember something, or interpret something, or explain, or approve, or follow up, then you have found the hidden job that's still on your plate. And the business might look busy from the outside, but the momentum still depends on your attention, and attention doesn't scale very well. And this is why I find so much of the AI advice is starting to get very repetitive. It keeps pointing you towards new tools, new prompts, new agents or automations, or whatever new feature or model is looking impressive this week that's pulling views. Now don't get me wrong, I like to report on that just as much as the next tech geek, but I do think there's a time and place for each of them, and I think most of the value you will get will not be in the latest models. And in real business situations, the expensive problem is often much simpler than that. The context exists somewhere, the work matters, and the next action still has to be rebuilt by a person who remembers the original story. And that is actually where AI is incredibly helpful. If a lead comes in, AI can help turn it into a clear next step instead of another thing that's sitting in your inbox to reply to. Or if a client asks for something, AI can help turn the messy context into a cleaner decision for you. Or something like if a project is starting to drift, AI can surface it before it turns into a bigger problem for you. And the key thing to remember here is the point isn't to build some gigantic system from day one. The point is to create a practical layer that keeps context moving forward so the business doesn't need the founder to personally touch every unclear thing before it actually becomes useful. And once you look at AI through that lens, the use case becomes much clearer to you. You aren't trying to replace a person overnight. You're taking one invisible job that already exists inside your attention and moving part of it into a repeatable system. And when that starts working, the business actually tangibly feels different because you aren't checking every little thing just to make sure it moved. And you're not re-explaining the same context every single week, and you're then also not the only person who can turn a vague message into next actions. And naturally, you still make the important calls, but the business doesn't need you to start from scratch for making every single decision. And this is what scaling actually means. It's not just getting busier or adding more tools or more people into a business that depends on the founder's memory for everything. It's removing yourself from the places where the business only moves because you personally pushed it forward. So if you're trying to work out where AI should go in your business, then start here first. Look for the work that keeps waiting for your interpretation or your judgment. Look at the questions that keep coming back to you, and look for threads where the context exists, but nobody has turned it into a next action yet. And that is the job to attack first. That will allow you to stop being the person who moves everything along. And that doesn't mean that you disappear from the business. It means your attention stops being the only way unclear work actually becomes clear and moves into next steps. And if AI can help with that, even if only partly, it's a much more useful starting point than another prompt pack or another tool you forget to open week after week, or a new AI model that no one cares about after a week. And that is the lens I would use if you're already running a business and want AI to actually help you. Do not start with the tool. Start with the job your business still quietly expects you to do every single day. So anyway, guys, we've come to the end of the video. If this was useful, I'd love if you hit subscribe. I'm building and testing these systems inside real companies as an AI automation company every single week. And this channel is about documenting what's happening and actually making AI useful for business owners every single week. So if you found value in this, I'd love if you hit subscribe and let me know what you thought in the comments, what you'd love to see more of. Thank you guys for your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next one.